York Yankees are not the team of the 90s. Try the team of the 1900s, when you've had 24 championship hugs and legends by the dozen. Being king of a decade seems like a pedestrian goal. Success is in the organizational bloodlines. For today's foe, the Atlanta Braves, the clock is ticking. Once considered a lock for the team of the decade, the Braves must have one more title to feel they've met their potential. 2 straight wins in this weekend's possible October preview has Gotham's attention. Today, the battle for the 90s continues in baseball's House of the Century. Welcome to Yankee Stadium. Welcome to the Bronx for an interleague matchup on a Saturday afternoon. The Atlanta Braves and the New York Yankees. It's hot. It's hot here in the Bronx. We get ready for the Braves and the Yankees. And Tim, it's always interesting to see how a team comes out of the All-Star break. They had a lot of questions talking about the Yankees going in, and now against one of baseball's best teams, those questions are even more magnified against Atlanta.
Well, let's face it, Joe. Last year, the Yankees were spectacular. When you go from spectacular to good, you look bad. And that's not the case, even though they do have some bumps in the road. What are they? The left field woes continue. Ricky Leday's picked it up, but still offensively, the left fielders are not doing their jobs. Chuck Knoblauch's defense a concern. Jorge Posada, offensively and defensively, also calling a game. And speaking of calling a game, Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte have combined for a 5.29 ERA, but the Yankees still with more things good about this team than bad.
I know you believe the Atlanta Braves are making the right move as we approach the back half of this season.
I think the Houston Astros were the best team in the National League for the first 7 weeks of the season, but since then you can see that ascent, a straight line to the playoffs for the Braves.
Odalis Perez is on the mound today for Atlanta. He'll be backed up by this very hot Atlanta offense. Last night, they banged out 5 home runs in what was a thrilling 9th-inning victory. Get ready, the Atlanta Braves, the New York Yankees. We like to call it here at Fox, a rematch of that 1996 World Series. Stay tuned. Baseball comes up next. Well, everything's a warm reception here today in the Bronx because it's just flat-out hot. But it was a less than warm greeting for these umpires as they make their way onto the field, already covered and covered well by Keith Olbermann and Steve Lyons in our pregame show, with the umpires set to resign on September 2nd. In each of the 3 games played here at Yankee Stadium since the All-Star break, and really since that announcement, every time the umpires walk onto the field, they have been booed lustily by the crowd here at Yankee Stadium. And then on top of that, Tim, there have been some controversial calls around here in the last couple of games that have really highlighted the situation with these umpires post All-Star break.
They have drawn the line in the sand, the proverbial line in the sand, threatening to resign on September the 2nd. Will Major League Baseball take a firm stand or not? Certainly the language has been firm for the first few days following the All-Star game, and I agree with Steve Lyons. After that All-Star game and all the emotions up in Boston, it is the worst time in the world to pick that particular type of strategy. But will the Major League owners, in remaining firm and standing firm, will they send the message to the Major League Baseball players 3 years from now when they decide to negotiate a bargaining agreement? Everybody hopeful that it gets settled at the bargaining table. Obviously, that's the case because a strike or a walkout or a resignation hurts both sides.
And there is substantial risk on both sides. The integrity of the game will be challenged if Major League Baseball is forced to call on umpires who haven't been working in the minor leagues for years to arbitrate these games and become the arbiters of Major League Baseball. And then on the other side, the obvious risk is by resigning on the part of the umpires, Major League Baseball could very well say, and you can read between the lines and through the words stated by Major League Baseball, Sandy Alderson and Bud Selig, the opinion that, well, you want to go? See you later.
Yep.
We'll move on without you. But it is not something to scoff at and say, well, just go get other umpires, because it's not that easy. We take a look at the Budweiser starting lineup. for the Atlanta Braves. Bobby Cox lines him up this way with Gerald Williams leading off in left field. Brett Boone will bat second at second base. Chipper Jones hits third at third. Brian Jordan having a great year cleaning up in right. And then Andrew Jones, who hit 2 home runs here last night, including what was the game winner in the 9th inning, batting 5th. Javi Lopez is the DH. They're still testing that sore right knee. Brian Hunter at first base. Eddie Perez catching. And Ozzie Guillen gets the start today at short, batting 9th. To look at the Yankees defensively, they are 7th. Make it 9th in the American League with a total of 65 errors.
Chad Curtis, Bernie Williams won the Gold Glove last year. Paul O'Neill in right field. Brocious and Jeter strong on the left side. We mentioned Chuck Knoblauch's throwing problems. However, they have stabilized over the last week to 10 days. Jeff Manto, a starter, his first start as a Yankee. Tino Martinez being given the day off today. And Joe Girardi behind the plate, and he will be catching Andy Pettitte. Andy Pettitte has struggled big time. As a matter of fact, he's lost his last 2 Yankee Stadium starts. In his 5 years in the major leagues, he has never lost 3 Yankee Stadium starts in a row. As I turn it back to a proud papa once again, Trudy Kathleen Buck. Congratulations, Joe.
It happened.
That is
finally
wonderful.
happened.
That
on
is
Thursday.
wonderful.
Thank you very much. It's nice to have that taken care of. And thankfully, baby and mom are doing very well, resting back in St. Louis. So
that's terrific.
It's back there after this. You must have had this worked out, because here I am on camera right away. You had this planned, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Thank you very much, partner. We get ready for a baseball game here on a warm afternoon, and Andy Pettitte, well, not really much different from the last time we met on a Saturday afternoon when Pettitte made the start at Shea Stadium against the Mets. And here's a look at his scouting report.
And not a lot has changed. He needs to regain that confidence in his changeup. His cutter, the ball inside to right-handed batters, still his bread and butter pitch. And the Yankee rotation has proved to be fallible of late. David Cone has been consistent throughout, as has Hideki Arabu recently. Orlando Hernandez, even though he lost last night, was 7-2 since May 20th. The problems, Andy Pettitte and Roger Clemens.
Gerald Williams, an ex-Yankee, will lead it off for Atlanta, and we're underway finally on a Saturday afternoon. Swing and a foul back, and on a warm day with, I'm sure, wet hands, Williams couldn't hang on to the bat. And what's he going to get rid of that bat? And Ed Yost brings it back down. Williams already had another bat standing by. It's like he knew he was going to do that. He went back to the on-deck circle and asked Brett Boone to hand him the bat that was just laying there in the on-deck circle. The heck was that?
Picked up a stickier bat.
Get rid of that one. I can't hold it. The 0-1 pitch to Gerald Williams leading off. That one's broken, and a ground ball to Brocious. 1 up, 1 down, and that's the way we start this afternoon here at Yankee Stadium.
If you're going to swing a bat and toss it down the third baseline, it shouldn't be the bat that you use. So he should have tossed this one and hit with the other one, because this one breaks on the first swing. That cutter inside, we said the staple of Andy Pettitte, and he shows the Braves that pitch coming right out of the chute.
For a million different reasons, this is an important start for Andy Pettitte. A, we're approaching the trading deadline, and his future is very much in doubt with the Yankees right now, as rumors persist that he could be on the trading block for the Yankees. Brett Boone stands in, a .251 hitter with 11 home runs. A 1-0 is, I guess, low and away. 2 balls, no strikes. The broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Not only is the trading deadline approaching and personal reasons for Pettitte to pitch well, but boy, do the Yankees need a strong start here this afternoon from a guy who was one of the best left-handers in this league and maybe in all of baseball. 2 up, 2 down. Williams grounds out. Boone flies out, and the batter will be Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones stands in batting right-handed, and all of a sudden, and I think you and I both know one of the reasons why, Tim, Chipper Jones is a major threat batting from the right side of the plate, meaning right-handed. He's a switch-hitting third baseman.
One of the big reasons, Don Baylor, his hitting coach, an outstanding right-handed batter. And I think under Don's tutelage, Chipper has improved enormously from the right side. And Here's an idea of how. He has 7 home runs as a right-handed batter this year and 74 at-bats. Prior to this year, he had only 12 and 678 at-bats.
He grounds one to short, picked up by Jeter. A quick and easy first inning for Andy Pettit. Exactly what he needed. Jeter will bat second in the bottom of the first. Going there, Atlanta and the Yankees. No score. Odalis Perez, the 21-year-old Dominican left-hander, takes on the New York Yankees in a look at the Budweiser starting lineup. For those New York Yankees, Chuck Knoblauch leads off at second base. Derek Jeter bats second at short. Paul O'Neill will hit third and right. Chili Davis, the DH, with Bernie Williams batting fifth. Jeff Manto is at first base in place of Tino Martinez, with Brocious at third. Chad Curtis at left and Joe Girardi catching and batting ninth. A look at that Atlanta defense. They are 7th in their league, the National League, with 66 errors.
Gerald Williams in left field, and folks, you will want to watch Andruw Jones, the center fielder, defensively and offensively today. He is the best center fielder in baseball. Brian Jordan also had a good game defensively last night against the Yankees. Chipper Jones, Ozzie Guillen at shortstop, Brett Boone on the right side, along with Brian Hunter. Eddie Perez catching Odalis Perez, who turned only 21 years old on June 6th. He is the second youngest player in the major leagues. The pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Young Hun Kim, is younger and the only player younger. He throws a 4 and a 2-seam fastball. The 2-seamer will have good sink to it. Kind of a slurve. It's not a slider, not a curve. They call it a curve. But believe me, youth and inconsistency do indeed go together.
It's that kind of a day here at Yankee Stadium. It is warm. Keith Olbermann came up to tell us that there is a slight breeze blowing in down the left field line. So it's not overwhelming. 93 degrees here at the park today as Knoblauch, a .266 hitter, stands in to lead it off with Jeter and O'Neill to follow. You look at Odalis Perez, who for the most part is the number 5 starter this year for the Atlanta Braves. He's been bumped up maybe a spot in this rotation because of the elbow soreness experienced by John Smoltz. They hope to get him back on the mound and rolling here shortly. There's the 93 degrees, humidity 47%, heat index up to 100. Tim, will you explain what exactly the heat index is?
It's very hot on the field.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Sounds like it's a combination of humidity and got to be some sort of formula. Humidity and temperature equals heat index.
E equals MC squared. 2 balls and a strike on Chuck Knoblauch. And that's off to the right side, slicing into the corner, and it is out of play. Just out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. But just to finish the point on Perez, the number 5 spot for the Atlanta Braves a year ago, Kevin Millwood, who was just an all-star for the National League, was 17 and 8. And now he's a number 3 guy with Odalis Perez and that 4 and 5 record at the bottom end of this Atlanta rotation. Bruce Chen in the number 5 spot in the rotation as they hope to get John Smoltz back. Millwood will pitch tomorrow for Atlanta. From catcher cam on 2-2 and looked like a changeup. Knoblauch was way out in front. A good start for Perez.
After 3 straight fastballs, the good straight change, and you can see Chuck Knoblauch, that front side, pulling out of there. It's actually the best pitch that Perez throws is that straight changeup. The danger is his throwing it too much to where the change becomes readable from a hitter standpoint.
So 1 out, nobody on for Derek Jeter. He is at 6 first inning home runs this season. Overall, number 1 in this league, hitting .377. Takes a good fastball over the inside part for strike 1. A 95-mile-per-hour fastball from Perez to a guy who's driven in 62 and has been as good as anybody in the major leagues in 1999. Strike 2. Andy Pettitte with a perfect first inning on his side. Have we said it's hot here yet?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
That was a result of the heat index. That shot.
The 0-2. Another 95-mile-per-hour fastball. 3 pitches, and Jeter will have a seat. Back-to-back strikeouts to start it for O'Dallas.
Just blows the fastball by the major's hottest hitter. Certainly the hottest hitter in the American League. That is a 4-seam fastball. And to simplify it for you folks at home, if you're looking at a right-handed hitter, the balls that are inside to the right-hander are 4-seamers. The balls that are away to right-handed hitters are 2-seamers.
Jeter has 3 strikes and he's out. Here's Paul O'Neill. Lefty against lefty, and a fastball strike. You can see O'Neill say, ooh. He had that reaction after O'Dallas Perez just let go of yet another 95-mile-per-hour pitch.
Yeah, that was Perez's heat index.
How about that? Some nasty pitches from Perez here in the first inning, and he has a chance now to strike out the side here in the first.
Perhaps inspired by Pedro Martinez in the All-Star game when he struck out the first 4.
Take a look at the hit zone for Paul O'Neill as he stands in. That would tell you he's a good low ball hitter. Outside corner, he struck out the side. Pedro Martinez did it on our last telecast Tuesday night in Boston. Now we go back through Knoblauch, Jeter, O'Neill, and what a start for O'Dallas Perez into the second. No score. Yankee Stadium for the start of the second inning. It'll be Brian Jordan, Andrew Jones, and Javi Lopez for the Braves. No score, no base runners, and just about nothing but strikes from these 2 starters. There's the work on O'Dallas Perez between innings.
Jeff Porter, the assistant trainer of the Atlanta Braves, usually they lace that with a little ammonia. It's kind of a wake-up call.
Jordan is jammed. Long throw for Jeter. Jordan runs well. Got him. 1 away.
When a right-handed hitter is jammed by a left-hander, he does not get out of the box as well. You can see Jordan spinning his legs there, and that gives Derek Jeter a chance to take his little crow hop and throw out Brian Jordan. Sometimes the legs are not as willing on the day game after a night game.
1 out, nobody on for Andrew Jones, who hit 2 home runs here last night. And he reaches out and pops this one into deep left center field. Williams back, says he has it. Didn't lie. 2 out.
It was not only that Andrew Jones hit a home run last night, it was the pitch that he hit and off of whom he hit it. A high fastball, as Bernie Williams tracks this one down rather easily, telling the wall that he has it. But Andrew Jones hitting that high fastball off Mariano Rivera. The first time that I've seen that pitch drilled this year.
Manto to his right. The flip to Pettitte. 6 up, 6 down. They're playing quick in this heat to this point. We've only seen 9 outs. That was the kiss of death, wasn't it? Bottom of the second inning, no score. Only have to say the stadium. They know what you're talking about in Major League Baseball circles. Chili Davis will lead off, then Bernie Williams and Jeff Manto. Here's Chili Davis, a .290 hitter, 13 home runs, 52 RBI. Switch hitting DH for the Yankees, and he's way late on that swing. Strike 1. And that's the story with Chili Davis. Hard stuff, hard stuff, hard stuff for this veteran big leaguer.
Does not have the bat speed like he used to have. Chili, 40 years old, having a terrific year with 52 RBIs. The number 2 hitter, Derek Jeter, leads the Yankees in RBIs with 62. Very unusual. Excuse me, Joe.
Very good breaking ball from Odalis Perez in the count 0-2. Chili Davis trying to avoid becoming the 4th strikeout victim in a row for Perez. We'll see another pitch. On deck is Bernie Williams. And then Jeff Manto. And when you look at this Yankee lineup, the bottom end of this Yankee lineup is anything but imposing. The 0-2 just got a piece. And that really, Tim, is one of the main reasons why they were so tough to beat last year.
Yeah.
You have the middle of the order that you know is so good here. You have the guys at the top who can get on base and make things happen. But last year, when you had a guy like Brosius sitting down at the bottom, hitting 300 with 98 RBIs, there were no let-up outs for any opposing pitcher. That is not the case here today. The 0-2. Did he go? Did not go, and that's ball 1 from Perez.
You notice how Eddie Perez tried to sell that to first base umpire Ted Barrett. He may have thought he went too far. It was close. Eddie Perez, watch how he points immediately to Ted Barrett at first base.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, it's close.
A 1-2 now to Chili Davis. Ripped into left field. Williams to his left. Nice running grab. Chili Davis is gone on a bullet into left center field. Take you back to the All-Star game and the start for Pedro Martinez as he took care of Larkin. Got Larry Walker looking. Blew one past Sosa, and then McGuire to start the second. Another high fastball. Later on, strike him out, throw him out, double play, and Pedro Martinez faced the minimum in his 2 innings, and the All-Star game started.
Anybody could strike those guys out.
Sure.
I mean, come on.
Larkin, Walker,
yeah.
Sosa, McGuire, and then Bagwell at the front end of that double play. There's a blazing fastball for a strike to Bernie Williams.
I left the ballpark with few regrets that night on Tuesday, and all the emotion before the game and everything. But the one regret that I had is I was interested in seeing how many Pedro Martinez might strike out in that lineup were he allowed to pitch 9 innings.
0-2 the count on Bernie Williams. It looked like it would take a while before he wafted back down to earth. He was juiced up and just blowing it. And you combine that with maybe the game's best changeup. 1 ball, 2 strikes now on Bernie Williams. It had the makings of a historic night pitching wise for a guy like Martinez. What we ended up with was actually a rather flat game. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now 2-2. How many comments did you get? Boy, that pregame was great.
A lot.
That pregame great?
A lot.
The game, I don't know about the game, but the pregame was great, and that's what you get when pitching dominates. A rather flat evening, and that's what we had after Ted Williams throughout the first pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Williams checked his swing, and the count now full 3-2.
Something you rarely see, a check swing on a high fastball. Most check swings are balls in the dirt. He didn't go.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And an easy 2-hopper to Boone. He's one of the best. It's automatic when he gets a glove on it. 2 away.
When a young pitcher is pitching, a lot of times in order to bring his arm around, a catcher will not sit in the middle of the plate, but he'll sit inside to a right-handed batter, expecting the ball to be over the middle of the plate. Perez sits inside, and the pitch an outside strike. What that does, it brings the pitcher through and allows him the comfort of finding a wider part of the plate. You want a guy like Perez to pitch to the fat part of the plate and not to the corners.
A strike.
Look at this.
To Jeff Manto.
All right. We're going to every inning. We're going to have something. Every inning. Joe and Ann Buck on the birth of their baby daughter, who is 2 days old. That's great.
That's a thrill. Boy, that's a thrill to have
at
Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
It's a shame her name's spelled wrong, but 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out, nobody on.
A small thing. It's the thought that counts.
Absolutely. That's nice. Who did that? Did you do that?
No,
too?
I did not do that. No.
And now if you'll bring in the cake. Thank you very much. 2 balls and a strike, 2 out, nobody on. Jeff Manto, who has only 3 at-bats coming into this effort for the Yankees after being picked up and added to this active roster. Ought to get something here on 3-1. A 2-out walk. And we have our first base runner of the afternoon. That's nice. They did us a favor, so we'll do, or I'll do, the Yankees a favor and talk about what's going to happen here tomorrow. When you have guys coming back to honor one of the best players in the history of this organization,
I'll say,
you have a list and a day that you don't want to miss. And here tomorrow, Don Mattingly will be back. Phil Rizzuto will be here along with Don Larson, Jerry Coleman, Bobby Richardson, Joe Pepitone, as they will honor him. Yogi Berra. It's Yogi Berra Day here tomorrow at Yankee Stadium. 1 on, 2 out, and a little ground ball to the right side. Off the bat of Brocious. Wide throw, but out. And after a 2-out walk, Perez takes care of Brocious and the Yankees in the second. We'll come back to Yankee Stadium. There is no score after 2. Back after this from your local Fox station. Out of the second, and Andy Pettitte back to the hill, and a 1-hop smash to Knoblauch to his right. Gooses it over to first. Hunter is gone, 1 away, and Pettitte has been perfect here at the start, retiring the first 7. Fox News is, of course, standing by, and if there are any updates on the situation with the disappearance of John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane up here in the Northeast, we will obviously break away and give you everything we've got to get you up to date. 1 out, nobody on for Eddie Perez, the number 8 hitter, with Ozzie Guillen to follow. And a fastball strike from Pettitte.
Harken back to Thursday evening when John F. Kennedy Jr. attended the Yankees-Braves game, first game of this series.
Breaking ball is lined into left field for a 1-out hit. Atlanta has its first hit of the afternoon, a 1-out single by Perez with Guillen coming up. Tim, we were talking about the history of this franchise. Talking about Yogi Berra, perfect time to stop and show a freeze frame.
The New York Yankees have retired the number 8 twice. Originally, Bill Dickey, the great Hall of Fame catcher, and then Yogi Berra, the great Hall of Fame catcher. One of the most beloved figures, period. He has transcended sports as far as the feeling of this country toward that man, Lawrence Peter Berra from St. Louis.
Ball up and in to Ozzie Guillen. Had a chance, I guess, a couple of weeks ago when we were here and the Mets were here. I guess longer than a couple of weeks ago. It's all starting to run together, Tim. To sit in Joe Torre's office with Yogi Berra, and when you sit in Joe Torre's office, there's no telling who's going to show up. And there's Yogi Berra sitting there. There's a ground ball to second, might be the flip for the out, over to first. Nicely turned. Talking about some of the Yankee greats and Yogi Berra, you have to believe that someday, maybe in the year 2030, they'll be talking about Jeter. No score into the bottom of the third. Into the bottom of the third inning, the Yankees bat with Curtis, Girardi, and Knoblauch coming up. Curtis stands in, a .212 hitter. We were talking last inning about the bottom of this Yankee lineup and what a difference a year makes. And granted, Brocious isn't doing this year what he was doing last year, but in today's lineup, when you have Manto in there hitting 6th, you have Manto hitting 179, Brocious hitting 257, Curtis hitting 212, and Girardi hitting 211. Quickly an 0-2 count on Chad Curtis.
And keep in mind that this is a team at 16 games over 500 with the second best record in the not only the American League but in baseball. 3 games ahead of the Boston Red Sox, 7 in front of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Curtis lines one to short, caught by Guillen. One away.
It's interesting to note on that double play that ended the 3rd inning. Watch Knoblauch. Knoblauch, if nobody were on, this would have been the play. But with the man on first, obviously he's going for 2. But with Derek Jeter going toward first base and Knoblauch going toward center field, that would have been the play to get 1 out. And they got 2 out of it.
We're also talking about Yankee greats, showing those retired uniform numbers out beyond the left field wall as you approach Monument Park here at Yankee Stadium. As Girardi stands in, a 211 hitter, and he grounds to the right side. Going to take Perez, getting over to the bag, and safe at first is Girardi. Hunter went too far, took himself out of the play, and Girardi beat Perez to first. Base hit.
Brian Hunter, usually there's a word sign. A second baseman will yell out something, but the throw by Brett Boone is inside the line. And because Perez had to reach back for the ball, Girardi beats the play. A lot of left-handers fall toward that third base line. But Perez was there, but that ball behind him, that could very easily have been scored. An error on Brett Boone, and if it were, it would have been a rare error, only 4 this year.
So 1 on 1 out, back to the top of the lineup. Here's Knoblauch, and he slashes a dangerous foul ball off to the right side. He winces, hoping that everybody's all right over there. Just going to talk about Jeter and Torre being the only 2 active Yankees with single-digit jersey numbers. They're the only 2 left.
Derek number 2, Joe Torre number 6.
And those 2 numbers could very well join the list of retired uniform numbers around here. Joe Torre had a great line when he first got hired here. He'd worn 9 forever. The number 9, he was issued number 6. One of the 2 single digits available. As you look out at Memorial Park, Monument Park really, and the memorial to so many of the great players that have passed through those Yankee pinstripes. Joe Torre said, well, I usually wore number 9, now I've got number 6. So when I walk out to the mound and make a pitching change, I'll just walk out on my hands. 1 ball, 1 strike, and check on Girardi.
Number 9 in Yankee lore, Roger Maris.
A look from catcher cam from behind Chuck Knoblauch, who struck out his first time. And that's into right field to send Jordan back to the wall. A leap, and it's gone. Opposite field home run for Knoblauch. His 6th of the year. 2-0 Yankees in the 3rd. Only 27 RBIs, 5 home runs. You can kick it up to 6 and 29 now, production-wise, for Knoblauch. 2 out, bases empty, 2 runs home for the Yankees. And Odalis Perez works to Paul O'Neill. And I don't think Paul's too comfortable against this Atlanta left-hander.
Not too many left-handed batters would be. You're talking about pitchers. Nasty is a good word. Might be one of the few occupations where nasty is good. Perez, nasty.
Back to Perez. Odalis grabs it, throws it. Threw at 95 miles per hour over to first. I'm sure disappointed with the result of this pitch and this swing. Knoblauch goes deep the opposite way, and on that the Yankees lead by 2. How about the 4th inning? Atlanta Braves have only 1 hit, Eddie Perez, last inning, but he was erased in a double play, so Pettit has faced the minimum. And Williams, these guys are up there first pitch hacking.
And I'm surprised at that, Joe, because it's so hot out there.
How hot? Sorry.
Dick Groat used to preach to me that on a hot day, make the pitcher work. Take a strike. Not always. But the deeper in the count that a pitcher works, obviously, the more weary he is going to be on a day like today.
The numbers for Andy Pettitte, only 18 pitches to get through 3+ innings now. And he's throwing strikes. That's one secret to success. A ball and 2 strikes on Gerald Williams, who broke his bat. Grounded out to third his first time up. On 1-2. 2-2.
Now what Andy was thinking right there, it's a pretty good formula to throw strikes to get ahead and balls to get them out.
Mel Stottlemyre is pitching coach on your left. Longtime pitching coach here in New York with Davey Johnson and the New York Mets. On 2-2. Williams spoils it. You start talking about pitching coaches. You have 2 of the game's best in the ballpark here today, and I look at the guy over in the Atlanta dugout, Leo Mazzoni, on your left, and you have to wonder what the big secret is, because he knows something, or he is doing something that other pitching coaches haven't figured out yet. A base hit into right field. Williams is going to test O'Neill. The throw in, good throw, but too late. And a leadoff double for Gerald Williams here in the 4th.
If Gerald Williams is not running hard out of the batter's box, he does not give himself a chance to take the extra base. A little nudge the other way. But Williams tearing around first base, surprising Paul O'Neill. It looked like Paul had a surprised look on his face, but excellent base running by Gerald Williams. You run through the bag and not to the bag.
And all of a sudden the tying runs at the plate for Atlanta. Williams at second, nobody out. Brett Boone is at the plate. And the reaction of Andy Pettitte, who just gave up his first extra base hit of the day. A 1-0 to Brett Boone. A late swing, 1 ball, 1 strike. May have been trying to go to right. Driven in 33, 250 average. I bet the Braves cannot wait, and all of baseball can't wait for Andres Galarraga to get back in the lineup for Atlanta. Strike 2 on Brett Boone. When you have Galarraga and Boone on the right side of your infield defense, that's about as good as there is.
And you got Chipper Jones at third base and Walt Weiss at shortstop. You got Derek Jeter right there. Now remember, Andy Pettitte throws that cut fastball inside to right-handers, and yet the Yankees are playing him, giving up the hole on the left side. To me, that's a dangerous formation. I know you have to hold Williams close, but your priority is to get the ball on the left side if it's hitting the hole. To me, both infielders should be pinched, and not just Derek Jeter. You see all that room over on the left.
Boone trying to go to right, pops it to the first baseman Manto, 1 away. And there is that cutter, and it sounded like Boone broke his bat.
Cut fastball on the hands to Brett Boone, and that's where you jam guys. You could see Girardi even giving a higher target right on the hands, breaking the bat. Sometimes I think players get caught up too much with that going to right field too, Joe. If you don't have a pitch on which to do it, why try it? You're trailing by 2, not 1.
So that's 2 broken bats. That's the total to this point against Pettitte. Gerald Williams back in the first, and now Boone for an important out. Didn't advance the runner, and Chipper Jones now with Williams at second, 1 out. To the third baseman, and foul down the left field line. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You can see now that the defense of the Yankees has changed because they think Chipper Jones is more apt to pull the ball. So Jeter is back, and Chuck Knoblauch is talking to Pettitte. That's not
he disappeared for a minute.
I thought, what's going on? I'm looking at the monitor. He must have gone in the dugout. No, he's talking to Pettitte about holding Gerald Williams on because the Yankees realized Williams a threat to steal third with 1 out because he was a member of their organization for 12 years.
So now it is Knoblauch keeping him close, back at second. A high delivery from Pettitte to Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones has been red hot. 2 balls and a strike. Tying run at the plate. Jones takes it in the dirt, 3-1. Coming into this afternoon's game, the last 12 games for Jones, a .486 average, 8 home runs, 13 driven in. And if you go by history, the best is yet to come for Chipper Jones, who is an above .300 hitter in his career after the All-Star break. 3 balls and a strike on Chipper. Runner at second, 1 out. And the walk to put 2 on with 1 away in the first walk, handed out by Pettit. So 2 on, 1 out for Brian Jordan. .298 average, 75 RBIs, in case you're wondering. Jordan's career high as a Cardinal, 104 driven in back in 1996. First year of a new contract with a new team, and he is performing. Calling that a foul ball and strike 1. .349 hitter is Jordan with runners in scoring position.
First 2 games of this series, Brian Jordan playing like a man possessed. Played a brilliant defensive right field last night and big hits in both games.
That is foul down the left field line. Strike 2.
We talked about it last Saturday, Joe. That's often what right-handed hitters do. In order to hit that pitch on the fat part of the bat, you have to get the bat head out, and in the process sometimes, often as a matter of fact, you hit it foul.
This crowd wants a strikeout on 0-2. 2 on, 1 out. They got it over the outside corner. 2 gone.
Often it's not the pitch, but it's how you got there. Now, how did Andy Pettit get there? With the cutter inside, fastball away. Fine job of pitching both sides of the plate. Leo Mazzoni refers to that as a guy who pitches east and west as opposed to north and south.
And a pretty good job behind the plate by Joe Girardi, who was hitting only .211 coming in, but he calls a smart game.
Yep.
And he helped frame that last pitch. Andrew Jones takes the ball. Couple of home runs for Andrew Jones in last night's game, and of course he homered back in 1996. His first 2 at-bats here in the World Series against the Yankees. Big swing and a foul back. In the process, Andrew Jones became the youngest player in the history of this game to homer in the World Series. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 on, 2 out. Tim, you can bet a lot of scouts are here watching Andy Pettit. If those rumors are anywhere close to the truth, that he may be on the trading block. And those scouts that are here watching have to be impressed with Pettit to this point. A 1-1 pitch, 2 on, 2 out. High delivery. Jones tried to hop all over it. Strike 2. Already surpassed this inning. The pitch total for the first 3. Handed a 2-0 lead on the home run by Knoblauch. Tying runs are on for Atlanta. 2 out, the 1-2 pitch. Runner stealing third, and Jones hooks it foul down the line.
Sometimes pitchers have to pitch to a hitter because of his build. That's one of the reasons that pitchers try to get inside to Andrew Jones. He has such tremendous reach and wingspan that he can take that ball off the plate 2 or 3 inches and drive it to right center field.
Again, the 1-2. Would chase it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. See the gigantic knee brace on the right knee of Javi Lopez as he stands in the on-deck circle. Now the 2-2 to Andrew Jones. Reached for it and pulled it foul.
That was an example of what we were talking about that reach of Andrew Jones. Watch this swing. Andy Pettitte trying to backdoor him with that breaking ball. That ball about mid-shin high and off the plate away.
And after that pitch, as you look at Don Baylor, who hit 338 home runs in his long major league career, Joe Girardi just went out to talk to Andy Pettitte.
Joe, Andrew Jones, not now, but he has got a chance to be among the top 3 to 5 players in the game someday. That's how talented he is.
The 2-2. A little over the top fastball, down and in, and Jones got a piece of it to stay up there. A little different delivery that time from Pettitte.
Looks like he was awkwardly on top of that pitch. Really straining and running to get that ball down and in.
Jones got a piece again, the 2-2. And a foul back above us. Andrew Jones now just 22 years old. Mel Stottlemyre has been working long and hard in between starts with Andy Pettitte on your right. Confidence in the changeup. Mixing up his pitches. Now the 2-2 again to Andrew Jones. Girardi wanted that, didn't get it. 3-2. And the runners will go.
Usually if a catcher has to turn that mid over, he's not going to get that as a strike. That ball clearly low.
Tying runs are on, and they get a head start on this pitch. That'll load him up. 2 walks in the inning, a double mixed in, and the bases are loaded with 2 down. We talk about making a pitcher work. Andrew Jones fell behind early in the count, then had to work to stay up there, and Andy Pettitte has got to be a little gassed here with the bases loaded 2 out on a warm day and facing Javi Lopez.
That's the difference in Andrew Jones this year and in years past. He will not swing at the ball out of the strike zone as frequently as he has in past years. You're right, that was an outstanding at bat by Jones.
10 pitches and a walk, and now Javi Lopez pops it down the right field line, foul. Lopez grounded out to the right side his first time up. He was on the disabled list from June 21st until this past Thursday. Sprain of the right knee, and we already gave you a good look at that knee brace. His anchor at the plate, the 0-1. Good pitch, down and in, strike 2. With any hitter, you talk about the backside, where you generate the power. And for Javi Lopez, that's the wrong knee to sprain. Bases loaded, 2 out, 0-2 the count. Inning over. Andy Pettitte into and out of trouble. 2 strikeouts in the inning. The Braves strand 3. Bottom of the 4th inning, Yankees bat up by 2. Missed opportunity for Atlanta. They loaded the bases, left them loaded as Javi Lopez struck out. Andy Pettitte has been good through 4. Bottom of the 4th inning, and Chili Davis leads off and takes a ball from Odalis Perez. Odalis Perez gave up what could have very well have been an error, but it was an infield hit back in the 3rd inning and a ball hit by Girardi to the right side. Boone didn't lead Perez to the bag, and then that little bloop home run into right off the bat of Knoblauch. And it's 2-0 Yankees.
Yeah, in fairness, Joe, that ball would not have been out in any other park in baseball. That ball hit by Chuck Knoblauch. But just like hits, there's no such thing as a cheap home run.
1 ball, 1 strike. You get a look at the other scores from around baseball at this time. Driven into center, Andrew Jones back to get it. Well, I know we've already talked about this, but there's Andrew Jones going back on a ball and catching it as easily as he can to try to make it interesting. How good is this guy? Watch him go get it in center field for the Atlanta Braves. He has thoroughly impressed Bobby Cox, Jim Beecham, who has been a coach with the Atlanta Braves. The last couple catches from this series here at Yankee Stadium. But on those routine fly balls, he just goes back and tries to catch him against his chest, against his ear, against his jaw, behind the back, whatever he can to more or less amuse himself.
His athleticism is impressive. His intelligence is as impressive because he plays a shallow center field, has the ability to go back. You cannot hit a ball over his head unless it's out of the ballpark. That's a slight overstatement, but not much.
2 balls, no strikes now on Bernie Williams. It's an interesting shot. 2-0, 1 out, nobody on. Two and 1.
Spray hitters.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, ow. 2-2. Whatever they can do here at Yankee Stadium.
Isn't that a nice touch, though?
It is. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. Bernie Williams 0 for 1. That'll get out of play. 93-mile-per-hour fastball from Perez.
Joe, we talked about Leo Mazzoni in the last inning, and I had a conversation with him before last night's ball game about Odalis Perez, and he said, you know, the one thing I don't buy, just because a guy is young in the major leagues doesn't mean he can't be effective. So what is all this stuff about if you're young, it's a learning process, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes and all that stuff? Said Steve Avery was 21 years old when he won perhaps the biggest game in this franchise's decade, a decade of excellence, and that was Game 6 of the 1991 National League Championship Series, and Steve Avery was 21 years old when he did that.
And we talked about it a moment ago. He's figured something out.
Yep.
And people will always say, and he's always going to have to get around this to get what he deserves, and that's a world of credit. Well, he's got the guys to work with. He's got the horses. That's true. But a lot of teams have had horses come and go. A lot of teams have had young studs come up and blow out their arms.
That's right.
And it just doesn't happen in Atlanta.
And the one thing consistent with Leo Mazzoni is he has his pitchers throw more than any pitchers in the big leagues, than any staff. Between starts.
That's well hit into right. Trap wall. Goodbye for Bernie. Williams goes deep. It's 3-0 Yankees.
Think he knew it?
Pretty good chance.
Tunnel vision for Bernie Williams. Back in the tunnel in right center field. We talked about how Chuck Knoblauch's ball is not a home run in any other park. That would have been a home run anywhere.
Manto now takes a pitch high. It's 2-0. Wow. And another guy the Yankees have been trying to get back to his old form as Mano swings and misses. The average has been there for Bernie Williams. He comes in 5th in the league. The production down a bit. Joe Torre's tried to move him around this Yankee lineup in order for him to see better pitches and get that power stroke back. Take a look at his concentration on this pitch, up and away, and he lost it over the wall in right center. Manto now 3 balls 2 strikes.
Hot going around those bases.
3 balls 2 strikes on Manto. He's got a piece. Manto hitting only 179. He walked his first time. As a Yankee, he's 0 for 3. He's bounced around team to team, organization to organization, getting a chance with the world champion Yankees. On 3-2, he swings through a changeup. And that's the 4th strikeout for Perez, his first since the first inning.
Once again, the concentration of Bernie Williams.
So Williams gets a hold of an Odalis Perez pitch. A 2-homer day so far for the Yankees, who have hit 103 as a team, and a strike to Brocious. Scott has hit 9, driven in 38. 1 ball 1 strike.
Biggest home run for Scott Brocious of the '99 season. 2 weeks ago today. 3-run homer to win it off Arthur Rhodes of Baltimore. A walk-off home run. He hit it, and the Yankees walked off with the win.
Bases empty, 2 out. In the dirt. It's past Perez. 2 balls 2 strikes and Brocious. Andy Pettit doing his job so far. Ran into trouble in the 4th inning with a leadoff double, pitched around it. Also walked 2 in the frame. 3 balls 2 strikes on Brocious. Chad Curtis on deck. The Atlanta Braves going for the sweep today, and the rarity of a series that ends on a Saturday, and that's happening throughout baseball as new series will start on Sunday tomorrow. The Yankees will stay home and take on the Montreal Expos.
And the Atlanta Braves move to Toronto to play the Blue Jays for 3 games. Okay, those Toronto Blue Jays, a very dangerous team. Jim Fregosi telling us about 2 months ago how those young legs will come alive.
That's right up the middle, and there was nobody close to it. Boone was way over in the hole, playing as if Brocious was going to hit it just to the right of the first baseman. That was up the middle, and look at that. There's nobody there.
Drive a fleet of trucks through that hole. Well, Brocious is more inclined to go the other way with 2 strikes. But Jim Fregosi, once again, to reiterate, telling us that those young legs, he expects to carry them through the second half. When the older guys are getting tired, the young Blue Jays could make their mark in the American League East.
One of the reasons why they are dangerous, they've got a big game pitcher. They've got a shut you down left-hander in their bullpen, and they've got speed off the bench. Where'd they get those guys? 1 on, 2 out. Curtis, strike 1. I'm talking about David Wells, Graham Lloyd, and Homer Bush. The components that went the other way in the trade that bought Roger Clemens, put him in pinstripes, and Clemens has been anything but dominating. That caught the corner. 0-2. Take a look at the numbers. An ERA of 4.98 for the Rocket. 12 home runs. Knocked around here 2 nights ago in the first game after the All-Star break.
6 earned runs and 5 1/3 off Roger Clemens on Thursday night. But you can't look, in my opinion, you can't look back on that. I mean, obviously people do, fans do. David Wells, a very popular player, and that's why I think New York Yankee fans have a tendency to look back on it more than they should. In my view, you get a chance to get Roger Clemens, a dominant pitcher, you got to get him.
2 strikeouts in the inning, 5 on the afternoon for Odalis Perez, but 2 big swings by the Yankees. Knoblauch, a 2-run shot in the 3rd. This from Bernie Williams in the 4th. 3-0 New York. Move to the 5th inning, 3-0 Yankees now. A couple of home runs for New York. 2-run shot by Knoblauch, solo blast by Williams, and that's a base hit into left. A hanging delivery, and Hunter jumped on it. Bryan is on for the first time this afternoon. The Braves sent 6 men to the plate last inning. Got a leadoff double in that 4th and didn't score. Trailed by 3. Let's take a look at today's Chevy Trucks game summary. Odalis Perez struck out the side in the 1st inning. Knoblauch, a 2-run shot in the 3rd for the Yankees. Williams went deep in the 4th. And Andy Pettitte has been good to this point. Now Eddie Perez. There's that good move to first for Jeff Manto, who gets his first opportunity at trying to catch those pickoff throws. He better be as aware as Brian Hunter.
I was thinking the same thing. Manto's first start as a Yankee. He knows about Pettitte's move. But being over there to catch it, a different story.
He's probably hoping Pettitte doesn't throw over there more than Hunter does. Another one of the real good guys in this game is Jeff Manto. The 0-1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Eddie Perez, a guy you can get on the double play. He was involved in one back in the 3rd, hit into by Guillen. Delivery, Perez threw it. Strike 2.
Eddie Perez shaking his head because he missed this cutter right here. That ball had some juice on it, however. Prevailing thoughts in baseball that anything that is up is a bad pitch. That's not true. Some are, some aren't.
Here's the 1-2. Do it again.
Matter of fact, that cut fastball is a much more effective pitch when it's around the belt, right on the hands, than it is around the knees. Coming back inside.
Looked like Girardi wants it up again. And it's lined into left field for a base hit. Back-to-back singles. Here comes Atlanta. 2 on, nobody out in the 5th.
Feisty at bat by Eddie Perez. Andy Pettitte and Joe Girardi stayed in that same area, and Perez hits their pitch. Didn't get it in quite as much as he wanted to, perhaps, but credit Perez with a good at bat.
So now 2 on with nobody out. A 3-0 Yankee lead. We're in the 5th, and the number 9 hitter Ozzie Guillen got the start today. Came in hitting .229. Stands in. Yankees cheat in on the corners for the bunt. Guillen shows it, takes a strike. Brian Hunter, the runner at second, runs okay. So if Guillen's going to do his job and advance the runners, if they stick with a bunt, it's going to have to be a good bunt. Ozzie Guillen among active players, number 2 on the list behind Jay Bell. As he shows it, takes a ball.
Normally you would not bunt 2 runners over when you're trailing by 3 in the 5th inning. But common sense will tell you that this is the right play. If you're going to play Guillen, bunting right here makes more sense than swinging away.
We saw Jay Bell on that list. Jimmy Leland used to have him bunt in the first inning almost every game.
Yeah, it's true.
Get a man on, he'd bat second, bunt him over. They had Bonilla and Bonds and Van Slyke there to drive the run in. There's a perfect bunt. The runners move up to second and third. It took a good play from Brocious to get one out. Second and third, one out for the Braves, down by 3. A game break. Back to Chris Myers in the Fox Network Center.
All right, thanks, Joe. At Pittsburgh, bottom of the third, Indians and Pirates, and the rookie from LSU, Warren Morris, off Charles Nagy. A 2-run single, his 49 RBI lead. All National League rookies. Chris Benson with a 3-0 lead. And Joe, from all of us here in Los Angeles at Fox, congratulations on the new addition to the family.
Thank you, Chris. Little Trudy Kathleen's getting an awful lot of airtime.
Getting a lot of ink early. How many 2-day-olds get that much ink?
Not many. Second and third, one out. Here's Gerald Williams. And a ball inside from Pettit. Williams has doubled. And he's grounded out.
As the money soars in baseball, plays like this are sorely needed. Fine bunt by Guillen. Boy, that is a dying art. The art of laying down a bunt.
1 ball, 1 strike as Williams fouled one away off his hands. Many in baseball thought Ozzie Guillen was finished. Cut loose by the White Sox. He tried it with Baltimore. Played the beginning portion of the season last year with Baltimore. Ended up with Atlanta. They liked him so much they brought him back. 2-1 on Gerald Williams. Andy Pettit, for the second inning in a row, is in trouble. On 2-1. Well hit down the left field line. If it's fair, we're tied. It's fair. 3-3 game. Off the foul pole down the left field line, a 3-run shot. And it's 3-3 here in the 5th. You didn't even have to look at third base umpire Jim Ebbage. You could hear that was a 3-run home run. Off that screen on the pole, which sits in fair territory. That gets it back to a 3-3 game. Now a strike to Boone and a ball 1-1.
Gerald Williams doing his Carlton Fisk imitation. Fisk's famous home run off Pat Darcy in Game 6 of the 1975 World Series. Key hit for Atlanta.
One out, nobody on. 2 balls and a strike. Now 2-2. A big swing by Brett Boone. Little body English, little body language used by Gerald Williams, hopping up and down as he was moving his way down the first base line. And he jumps up and bites his former team. The 2-2 to Boone. Full count. And all the good work that Pettit did in each of the first 4 innings, which included getting out of trouble in the 4th, has been erased with 1 swing from Williams. And that's a floater into left for a base hit off the bat of Boone. That's 4 hits in this inning. And big trouble for Pettit here in the 5th.
One more look at that home run by Gerald Williams.
The third baseman, Chipper Jones.
Get a look as you watch that replay. Why Williams was doing what he was doing, and why I'm sure Fisk was doing what he was doing.
Right.
That ball down the line, a little hook to it. But it had enough to stay fair, and now Chipper Jones with a go-ahead run at first and only 1 out in this inning. 3-3 in the 5th. And a late break back to the bag by Boone.
Usually a manager, in determining whether to hit and run or not, will determine how well the hitter is going. The move of the pitcher, sometimes the speed of the runner, even though that's of lesser importance. But with a guy locked in like Chipper Jones, I doubt that Bobby Cox would resort to the hit and run here.
1 on, 1 out. Strike one.
The reason for that is you want a hitter that's hot to choose his pitch and not be compelled to protect the runner. So if Chipper Jones were going poorly as a right-handed batter, you'd be more inclined to send the runner, but not as well as he's going.
Talked about this in his last start. Since July 14th, basically the All-Star break a year ago, 4 games under 500 and an ERA over 5.5 for Andy Pettitte. Boone is running, got a great break, and Jones lines one into left center field. That ball will get down, cut off by Williams, and it will end up second and third as Boone was deked, I would imagine, because he went sliding into second. What should have been an RBI double with a runner going. Boone didn't get a good read on it, and he's now at third. Second and third, only 1 out.
Either that or he did not look back to see where the ball was. You take those 3 steps and see where the ball is after the hitter hits it. This ball hit hard to left center field, and you could see Brett Boone sliding in the lower right-hand corner. Knoblauch's among the best at working that decoy play with the runner running. Ball in the air, he makes believe that it's a ground ball double play opportunity.
Now second and third, 1 out. Jordan takes a strike. So you talk about Chuck Knoblauch's defense. He's been under some fire here in New York. Well, that play and his efforts in deking Brett Boone for the moment has kept the go-ahead run off the board for Atlanta. 1 ball, 1 strike on Brian Jordan. There's Boone, and there's Chipper Jones, who is on base for the 2nd time today. Second and third, 1 out. Jordan's jammed, strike 2.
Joe, the Atlanta Braves certainly know all about Chuck Knoblauch's deking at second base. The biggest play, perhaps, in Minnesota Twins history was when Knoblauch decoyed Lonnie Smith of the Atlanta Braves in the 8th inning of a scoreless game back in 1991. Game 7. Had Smith scored, the Braves win the World Series. They didn't.
Jordan stays alive.
Lonnie Smith couldn't pick up the ball. He relied on Chuck Knoblauch to tell him where it was. Knoblauch didn't do that. And instead of scoring, Lonnie Smith ended up on third base, and the Twins got out of that inning with the Braves not scoring. They eventually won it 1-0 in the 10th inning.
On 1 and 2, Jordan took a ball. Go ahead RBIs. Brian Jordan, number 2 on the list, tied with Bichette. Those two look up at Matt Williams in the National League. The All-Star Williams has 24. Braves have battled back 3-3, now second and third, 1 out. And Jordan was at the mercy of Chuck Merriweather, the home plate umpire. And it's called ball 3, 3-2.
Remember that last at bat by Brian Jordan? He took a similar pitch, and Chuck Merriweather rang him up. Jordan lays off this pitch, and it was a ball downstairs.
Now the 3-2. A very crisp start to this one for Andy Pettitte. Faced the minimum through 3. Got into trouble. Got out of trouble in the 4th inning by striking out Javi Lopez. Prior to that, Jordan. And now Dan Nolte gets ready as the roof is caved in around Andy Pettitte here in the 5th. A 3-2 to Jordan. Ground ball to third. Brocious will come home. Boone gone. And it's still a tie game here in the 5th that ends up first and third, 2 out on the fielder's choice 5-2. Nice
play by Chuck or I should say Scott Brocious. And it's also a good play by Brett Boone. Second and third and 1 out in a tie ball game. You try to score on a ground ball. The worst that can happen is you end up first and third and 2 outs. And that's what's happened. But in the process, you take a chance on scoring a run. You notice how Girardi sets up inside the line. He gives the third baseman an inside target so the ball doesn't hit the runner.
So Brocious and Girardi make the play on Boone. Boone has a seat in the dugout, and it's first and third, 2 out. Now who has a chance to put the Braves out in front for the first time today? Andrew Jones, who has walked and flied to center.
Watch Joe Girardi one more time. Scott Brocious, obviously you don't want to throw into the runner, so Girardi sets up inside the line and then takes a blow from Brett Boone. No sense in sliding there.
Breaking ball from Pettit. Up for ball 1 to Andrew Jones. So right now you can go back to the base running of Boone.
Right.
Sliding as he was running on that double by Chipper Jones. He only got to third. Kept a run off the board. Now the fielder's choice. It's up to Andrew Jones, who's up on the count here, 2-0. Andrew Jones always seems to be smiling as if he's in on some secret that nobody else knows. Little smile as he gets back in. The 2-0 pitch coming from Pettit. Down the left field line, and that is jerked foul.
I think I'd smile too if I were as talented as Andrew Jones. Got that air of confidence around him. Considered a bad air of confidence 3 years ago, but he'll grow in and learn how to carry himself a lot better.
Throw to first.
I remember the time Bobby Cox jerked him out of an inning a couple of years ago. Had the discussion with him in the dugout.
Andrew Jones with a chance here on 2-1. First and third, 2 out. 3 balls and a strike. Go pitches by inning, and they're piling up. 64 in the last 2 innings for Pettit. 64 of his 80. About as efficient as you can be in the first 3. On a warm day, a good plan of attack. Now the 3-1 to Andrew Jones. Should end the inning of Knoblauch, and he's happy to be able to flip it underhand to Jeter instead of having to throw to first. And Knoblauch played a role in this inning with that deke at second. With the biggest swing of the day so far, Gerald Williams tied it with a 3-run home run. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. A humid day here in the Bronx. A 3-3 game, bottom of the 5th inning now. And even though the Yankees at one point led 3-0, you would have to say that, judging by the last couple of innings, Odalis Perez has outperformed Andy Pettit to this point as he misses with ball 1 up and away to Joe Girardi, the number 9 hitter who has an infield hit and his average resting at 217. Popping fastball, strike 1. It'll be Girardi, Knoblauch, and then Jeter. Strike 2. Couple of things in play here for these Yankees, and we talked about it at the start of our afternoon here on Fox. The Yankees had some questions going into the All-Star break. They have stumbled coming out of the gate here in the back half of the season and are in danger of being swept here in a 3-game set by the Atlanta Braves. A 3-3 game here in the finale of this short weekend set. And just to go back and talk about what you talked about, Tim, in our opening. Some question marks in left field. Chuck Knoblauch with 16 errors. Posada hasn't been hitting, although he's picked it up of late. And then those two starters at the bottom. Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte come in with a combined ERA of over 5.
When things start going badly for a team like this, the one thing to remember is that there are more good things about your unit than bad things. And that's what that man right there, Joe Torre, that's what he excels at. To accentuate the positive. Nobody does it any better than Joe Torre.
Accentuate the positive. We go back for a game break, and Chris Myers, who will sing to us from the Fox Network Center.
Well, we'll hum along anyway. In Pittsburgh, David Justice made it a 3-2 game with a double, but Al Martin answers with a 2-run homer, so the Pirates lead the team with baseball's best record, 5-2. Last night, Martin had pine tar in his eyes and had to leave the game early.
You ever heard of that one? Pine tar in the eyes.
That's a new one.
Here's Knoblauch, who is homered and struck out. Takes a strike from Perez, who is starting to roll here. He has struck out 6, by the way, after he got Girardi.
So that's what that new movie's all about. Eyes wide shut. Pine tar in the eyes,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Uh-huh.
Not quite.
Another baseball movie.
1 ball, 1 strike. Could you imagine going to see that expecting a baseball movie? 1 out, nobody on, 1 ball, 1 strike. Is that on your list of things to do?
No, but I did see the premiere of For Love of the Game, Kevin Costner's new movie. It will be out in September. And it's not as good as Bull Durham, but it's a good movie. A few good lines, great soundtrack. Kevin Costner does his normal good job.
2 balls and a strike. 3-1 now. Where'd you see the premiere of that?
In Boston on Monday. You were invited, but you had other
What?
things.
I didn't say
No,
that.
you were invited, but you had other things to do. I mean, you were a busy man. So was I, but I thought that'd be fun. Kind of break it up a little.
A 1-out walk, second walk handed out by Perez. 1 on, 1 out now for Derek Jeter, who walks in. Tim McCarver told you this would happen early in the night. Nomar Garciaparra replaced by his friend Derek Jeter. And then Derek Jeter with the Garciaparra imitation at the plate. Garciaparra voted in as the fan favorite, so to speak, at shortstop, and Derek Jeter, who reminds us all seemingly time after time how wise he is beyond his years, handled that situation perfectly.
Hard to believe he's only 24 years old.
This is a Fox News special report.
Star Wars sandals. On 0-1. It's down the right field line and slicing foul. Have you seen the new Star Wars, Tim?
No, I have not. I'm not trying to work this into any Siskel and Ebert. There's a young man trying to stay cool right there. That's a ticket.
Kid's 8. He can't be that hot. 1 on, 1 out. The 0-2. 1-2.
Talked about Jeter for years. With 2 strikes, more inclined to go the other way. He leads the American League in opposite field hits this year with 50.
One ball, 2 strikes on Derek. And there's a shot into right. Jordan coming to get it on a hop, a base hit. He goes the opposite way. And it's 2 on, 1 out here in the 5th.
Make that 51. Even though the pitch is inside, you can clearly see that Derek Jeter trying to go the other way. You can see that right elbow, how it's tucked in there. That's his stroke with 2 strikes. Talk about a guy bringing it all together. The intelligence and his ability coming together this year.
So 2 on 1 out for Paul O'Neill, who is 0 for 2 this afternoon against Odalis Perez. So far hasn't looked too comfortable in the box against this young left-hander. Fastball strike, 0-1. Odalis Perez signed by the Braves as a free agent July 2nd, 1994. 16 years old. And some scout found a good one in Odalis Perez, right now only 21 years old, just 6 feet, 150 pounds. But able to get the ball to the plate in the mid-90s. Odalis Perez, by the way, hasn't won since the 8th of June. 11-2 win over Tampa Bay. So it's been a while for Perez, as it has been for Pettit. The 0-1. Up the middle, of base hit. Here comes the runner. That's Knoblauch. The throw not made. Jones throws off balance to third. Safe there. The Yankees back out in front 4-3.
Andrew Jones was burned styling then. We were talking about that air earlier. Bobby Cox talking to him. Here, Derek Jeter shrewdly takes advantage of Andrew Jones's mistake. He failed to throw home and then didn't think Derek Jeter would dare try to go to third after stopping around second base. But he did, and with 1 out, a great base running play by Jeter and a careless play by Andrew Jones. Watch. He went for the fake throw. You either throw it or you don't. Jeter had stopped around second, and once he saw the fake, knowing he was off balance, he went to third base.
And that's a big play with 1 out in the inning, and now Chili Davis has a chance to add to the 4-3 Yankee lead. Davis 0 for 2. Crowd gets back into it. After Girardi struck out, a walk, a pair of singles. Davis out in front. 1 ball, 1 strike, and a good changeup. Chili has driven in 52. So Andy Pettit is handed another lead. The walk from Odalis Perez started this trouble. And now on 1-1. That's a wild pitch. In to score is Jeter. Down to second is O'Neill. And it's a 5-3 Yankee lead. And isn't this exactly what you were talking about with Leo Mazzoni? Why can't young guys succeed at the big league level? He brought up the name Steve Avery. Well, so far, Odalis Perez, who is 21 years old, is pitching like a rookie right now.
Yes, he is. This ball, a 55-foot changeup, hops over the glove of Eddie Perez. But again, that key base running play by Derek Jeter, putting himself in a position to score instead of be at third.
On 2-1. Into left center field, well hit. Back is Williams. This ball's over his head. 1 hop over the wall. In to score O'Neill. It's 6-3 Yankees. Odalis Perez hasn't won since the 8th of June, and it doesn't look like that streak will be snapped here today. A guy with a world of talent, some nasty pitches in his arsenal, but he is not getting it done here in the 5th inning.
Breaking ball over the middle of the plate to Chili Davis. RBI number 53 on the year. Ground rule double. O'Neill scoring easily.
Well, it looked like Pettit would roll early. He has stumbled. It looked like Odalis Perez had settled in. And now here in the 5th inning, it has caved in around him. They are going to walk Bernie Williams as you look at the double by Chili Davis. Set up first and second with one out. Jeff Manto will be the hitter. And there's action for the Braves out in their bullpen.
Kevin McGlinchey, the fine young right-hander, he's only 22 years old. No, that's Russ Springer. Russ Springer is up and throwing for the Braves. He just got up. Of course, on a day like today, as hot as it is, all you have to do is shake hands and you're ready to come in the game.
Well, there's ball 4 to put 2 on with 1 out. Didn't look like Springer was getting ready in a hurry, but I would think he should be with a couple of right-handed batters coming up. 95 pitches for O'Dallas. Only 4 1/3 innings, and here comes Leo Mazzoni out to talk. Springer doesn't appear to be ready, and at the moment doesn't look like Mazzoni's going to make the pitching change.
This is an odd situation for a catcher, Joe. You try all season long to give your pitcher a lot of confidence, and yet your pitcher, maybe Perez doesn't know this, but he should, that the reason Leo Mazzoni is out there primarily is to give Russ Springer a chance to warm up. The worst thing that a coach or a manager can ask a catcher on the mound with the pitcher within hearing distance is, how's he throwing, and expect an honest answer. What are you going to say? Nah, he's terrible. You know, nah, this guy, nah, get him out of here.
Eddie Perez back behind the plate. Jeff Manto stands in with 2 on, 1 out. A good pitch from Perez, strike 1. Manto has walked and struck out in the middle innings here on an extremely warm day at Yankee Stadium, presenting trouble for both Pettit and Perez. Outside corner, strike 2.
Good shot at Tino Martinez as you see the runners. Chili Davis on at second, Bernie Williams at first. But there's no way Bobby Cox would make that move and bring in the right-hander, because he'd have to face Tino Martinez, who would pinch hit for Manto.
Here's the 0-2 to Jeff Manto. Perez keeps it at the plate.
They used to have a great billboard down in Atlanta, and it had on one side it had McCarver / Cox. Maybe an overstatement by the advertising community in Atlanta, but you get the idea that Bobby Cox is some kind of leader with this ball club.
On 1 and 2, Manto chops it off the plate, foul. And another guy who doesn't get the credit he deserves as a very good field manager, and before that, general manager, preceding John Schuerholz in, and responsible for some of the personnel decisions which have led to this dominant team here in the 90s in the National League.
Bobby is anything but a self-promoter. Anything but. All he cares about W's.
Manto strikes out on a changeup. That's 7 strikeouts now for Perez. But in between those 7 strikeouts, there's been a lot of offense lately for the Yankees.
Good changeup to Manto, a little out of the strike zone. Fine changeup with great arm action by Perez.
The 100th pitch of the day for Perez was a changeup. And Brocious now with 2 on and 2 out, the 8th man to bat in this 5th inning for the Yankees. Brocious is singled. He's grounded out. He's driven in 38. Chili Davis, Bernie Williams aboard. One ball, 1 strike from O'Dallas Perez. Braves will have Lopez, Hunter, and Eddie Perez bat in the 6th. They'll be trailing by at least 3. 6-3 Yankees. Strike 2 on Brocious. Dallas Perez fighting to get through 5. What a start. 3 strikeouts as he struck out the side in the 1st. 2-2 on Brocious.
Both pitchers this afternoon experiencing difficulty the 3rd time through the lineup. That is not uncommon.
Now the 2-2. Into center field. That's a base hit. Chili Davis is brought to the plate. The throw by Andrew Jones is wide. And it's a 7-3 Yankee lead.
RBI number 39 for Scott Brocious into right center, and that's going to be all for Odalis Perez. Chili Davis scoring rather easily, and the Yankees lead by 4 here in the 5th.
Out of the 5th inning, it's been a breakthrough inning for the Yankees. They've scored 4, lead by 4, 7-3. New pitcher is Russ Springer as he takes over for Odalis Perez. The numbers for Springer with a big ERA. Got some good arms though out in that Atlanta bullpen. Not guys that you've heard a lot about, but they can bring it. Springer is one of their longer relievers, and Perez is gone. And an interesting move here is Joe Torre will tap Chad Curtis on the shoulder and say, have a seat. Send in Ricky Leday with 2 on, 2 out.
It is an interesting move because defensively, Chad Curtis is the best defensive left fielder the Yankees have. Ricky Leday slightly behind. But I think the key point, Joe, and I know where you're leading, the key point is that if Leday's in the lineup now, Bobby Cox can neutralize Leday later if the Atlanta Braves catch the Yankees by bringing in a left-hander to face Leday. As far as Joe Torre is concerned, another hit, it's another marker.
Springer to Leday. And 0-2 in a hurry.
Good curveball from Russ Springer. Nice.
2 on, 2 out. Leday grounds it up the middle. Diving try by Boone. It's into center. Here comes Bernie Williams. Another run, and it's 8-3 Yankees here in the 5th. Let's take you back to Chris Myers in the Fox Television Center. Chris.
All right, Joe, in Houston, Jose Lima going for his 14th win, but the Tigers with Debbie Cruz delivering, scoring daily and easily for the first run of the game. They add a run. And Dave Borkowski in his major league debut has allowed just 3 hits. He has that 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Back to New York.
The old Fox Sports pregame jinx for Jose Lima. It's happened 1,000 times. 1st and 3rd, 2 out. And a fastball's a strike to Joe Girardi. Girardi started this inning with a strikeout. 0-2.
Joe, before Thursday night's game, Ricky Leday told me that he's tired of feeling for the ball, meaning he's reluctant to fire the bat head through the strike zone. That was his 4th straight hit, 3 last night, and a pinch hit and a big one, a marker, another marker for the Yankees.
To the shortstop, Guillen. The throw across and the dig at the other end by Hunter. Girardi makes 2 outs in the 5th inning. But in the frame, the Yankees come up with 5. Big inning for the Yankees and a big lead for Andy Pettitte as he heads back to work. Well, there's Andy Pettitte back to work in the 6th inning. 8-3 now, the Yankees lead. And here's Andy Pettitte. A little frustrated after that last inning in which he allowed 3 runs on the 3-run shot by Gerald Williams. But again, to go back, the defensive plays of Knoblauch on the fake and then Brocious on the play at the plate kept it a tie game, and the Yankees just came up with 5. One of the runs driven in by Ricky Leday, who's still in the game and now in left field, taking over for Curtis. Lopez takes a ball. Well, if Andy Pettitte, Tim, has something to prove here today, either to himself or to the Yankees or to scouts representing other major league teams, this is an important inning for the left-hander.
I agree with you. Even if the Yankees win the game and Pettitte has a rough 6th inning, then it could be deemed a bad outing. If, however, he gets through the 6th without Atlanta scoring, a good outing.
Keeping the ball down, and he's 1-2 on Javi Lopez.
This will probably be his last inning. I would imagine Joe Torre, with the weather, the heat, the accelerated pitches he's thrown the last 2 innings, will take him out in the 7th. We'll see.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Yankee bullpen is silent at the moment. 2-2. Jammed him, and Jeter has time to his left with Lopez running. Bad throw and out at first. Lopez doesn't argue, and that's Manto coming off the bag and getting the tag on the back of Javi Lopez. It's time for today's American General Season to Remember question. Prior to 1991, what year did the Braves win their last division title? Those in Atlanta are screaming out the answer to a question I'm sure a lot of people are well aware of, not only what that year was, but what that year has in common with today's game in the Yankees. A ball up and away to Brian Hunter. Golfed into deep left center field. Well hit at the track, at the wall, up against the wall, and at least a double for Hunter. He's going to hold there after hurting himself going through the bag at second.
Brian Hunter is hurt right before the last stride going into second base. He was looking at the ball, and a lot of times when a runner watches the ball and then tries to pick up the bag, he doesn't know where the bag is. See him watch the ball, picked up the bag, boom, the bag's on top of him, and I think he sprained that left foot. See, going from the ball to the bag, you don't know exactly where the bag is. Or perhaps in trying to stop once he goes by the bag.
First of all, he missed the bag.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of strides before he got to the bag that left ankle went out on him. I believe it's his ankle.
He's already got an air cast on that left ankle. And you watch it in slow motion. Hunter had to put the brakes on after missing the second base bag. Any thoughts of a triple? With his conscience, they went out the window. And thankfully, Hunter is all right and able to continue.
Yeah, with the play in front of him, you have to pick up the bag a little quicker. Otherwise, something like that could happen.
Now Eddie Perez takes a ball up and away. So here is further trouble for Andy Pettitte. A one-out double by Hunter. But he has the bottom 2 in the order with which to deal. Two balls, no strikes on Perez. Runner at second, 1 out. 2-1.
Jason Grimsley up and throwing now for the Yankees. Again, I would not think Joe Torre would wait very long if the Braves get another hit to take Andy out of the game.
The opposite way and a base hit for Perez. They will hold Hunter at third. And it's first and third with only one out. Eddie Perez is 3 for 3.
Brian Hunter with that sore left ankle, and with the Braves trailing by 5, no way you send him here. Ned Yost, the third base coach, making the standard play of holding him up. Now Mel Stottlemyre out to do the same thing that Leo Mazzoni did in the top half of this inning. And the only reason, in my opinion, that Andy's still in the game is because Ozzie Guillen will be the next batter.
So now Pettit's numbers don't look all that great. 5 1/3 innings, 9 hits, struck out only a couple. He's walked 2.
I think this is his last man one way or the other. You got Gerald Williams, who had a 3-run homer against him the last time up. Mel Stottlemyre sent out there to give Grimsley a chance to warm up, and I think one way or the other, Ozzie Guillen's his last batter.
Grimsley getting ready. First and third, one out for Guillen. 0 for 1 plus a sacrifice bunt. And a good fastball from Pettit, strike 1. It's self-serving either way you cut it for the Yankees to get Pettit through this inning if you can. If you are trying to trade him, 6 innings looks a lot better than 5+. And if they're going to keep him, it would be a nice little boost of confidence for a guy who has struggled. He's got a 5-run lead. You would think a guy with Pettit's talent could pitch with that lead and at least get through 6. But the bottom of the order is hurting him here as Guillen pokes it foul down the left field line, just foul. And they count 1-2.
Well, this is where Guillen's going to hit the ball. With Andy Pettit throwing the ball on the outside part of the plate, Ozzie Guillen, okay, that ball is closer to being fair than I thought. I think the Yankee outfield should come in and move over toward the left field line a little bit more because of that swing and the chance of him hitting it to left field.
Guillen strikes out, and a big out for Pettit. And we'll see if they stick with him. They will not. Tim, you called it, last hitter either way. Pettit could do nothing more than get the strikeout there, but they have seen enough. And Pettit mumbling to himself as Joe Torre comes to the mound. Well, with the pitching change comes a hitter change. We'll tell you about that in a moment, but right now we highlight Jason Grimsley and his numbers here in 1999.
He has done a terrific job for Joe Torre and the Yankees, and for himself, I might add.
But as he warms up, Tim, he is not going to be dealing with Gerald Williams.
No.
It's a confrontation with Ryan Klesko.
Last night, 4 hits and 2 home runs, both off curveballs and both off Orlando Hernandez. The first one a solo shot, and then with one on, one handing a ball out of here. Your point is well taken, Joe. Do you leave Andy Pettit in there to pitch to Gerald Williams, or do you bring in Grimsley to pitch to Klesko? I think there's a slight edge in having a fresh arm pitch to a hitter off the bench. Slight edge.
Big swing by Klesko off the bench, strike 1.
Especially considering the fact that Gerald Williams hit a 3-run home run his last time up. Also poked a double down the right field line. There's not a lot of room for error with Andy Pettit facing Gerald Williams.
Klesko with first and third, 2 out. 1 ball, 1 strike from Grimsley. Ryan Hunter, the runner at third. Eddie Perez, 3 hits today on at first. 8-3, the Yankees lead here in the 6th. Strike 2. Brett Boone hoping to have a chance here in the 6th inning. He's on deck. Plesko could make it a game again with a long ball. Good work by Grimsley. Comes in, strikes out Plesko. And the Braves leave a couple. They've left 7. Bottom of the 6th inning. Yankees bat. They're in charge, leading 8-3. Plesko takes over in left field. And we go back to work in the bottom of the 6th inning. Sold out Yankee Stadium, and they've had some fun here today. The Yankees coming up with 5 in the 5th. They lead it 8-3. Chuck Knoblauch, who's been a big part of the action, will lead off. He's walked and scored and hit a 2-run home run. And a high fastball from Springer. Perez couldn't go 5. Dallas Perez. Andy Pettit could not go 6. A 1-0. High again, 2-0. Those little kids, I'm sure, in awe of Derek Jeter, who talks to them as he gets ready in the on-deck circle. 3-0 as Springer can't get it down.
Little photograph session on the sidelines. Can you imagine that happening in a hockey game, a basketball game, or a football game? Pardon me, Michael. Michael Jordan, pardon me. Before you shoot that free throw, little shot, you want to pose for me?
Ball 4 on 4 straight from Springer. That's the way we start the bottom of the 6th inning. It's time for today's American General Season to Remember question. Prior to 1991, what year did the Braves win their last division title? The answer, 1982.
You gotta watch.
Oh, you have something on?
You never know. I'm thinking of putting something on. The thing is, once you don't watch, they know nothing's on. You know what I mean?
1982 as he talks it over with Rick Mailer. For Joe Torre, he was the manager. For Joe Torre and the Atlanta Braves, it was a season to remember.
Joe's Atlanta Braves losing 3 in a row to the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Cardinals taking the Milwaukee Brewers to 7 games to win a world championship under Whitey Herzog.
Derek Jeter now 1 out of 3 today. There's a strike from Springer, 0-1. It's been only 3 games all year in which Derek Jeter has failed to reach base. He's been on today. An RBI single his last time. Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw down, safe, and a steal for Chuck Knoblauch. His 17th of the year.
Eddie Perez does what he can. Knoblauch with a great jump. That's one of the problems, by the way, with those masks. If they're not bound tightly, those things swing to the right, and it can be a real problem in throwing. A quick tag by Guillen, but Chuck's right foot was there.
Maybe.
Yeah, I thought the left foot hit initially, but the left foot was over the bag, and the trail foot come back and make the play. That was a lot closer than I thought.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Jeter. Missing up and away. Another look at that play.
Watch how the left leg goes over the bag when the tag is made. No, I think the right foot was in there.
Runner at second, nobody out. The 2-2 pitch. Pretty close. And you can hear second base umpire Larry McCoy give that no call. They came close to picking off Chuck Knoblauch back at second.
You don't often see that in a game where a team is trailing by 5 runs in the middle innings. Working a play like that, teams are more inclined to play it straight up. I think the point being, Joe, that the Atlanta Braves, the way their guys are swinging the bats, coming from behind last night, they realized that maybe even 5 runs over 3 innings is not too much of a lead.
Again, the 2-2 pitch to Jeter. Blew a fastball by him, 1 away. A walk, a steal, now a strikeout. He did not advance the runner. 1 away with O'Neill coming up.
Good fastball from Russ Springer. Good spot.
But now O'Neill, who has an RBI single and a run scored. He broke through against Odalis Perez after going 0 for his first 2. Came through for the Yankees in that 5-run fifth. Decent numbers for O'Neill, but off last year's pace. He hit 24 home runs and knocked in 116 runs in 1998. He has hit just 10 home runs. Oh, and 2 in a hurry from Springer. Like our All-Star game shots. People with their personal memories of being at a big league ballpark. The 0-2 pitch to O'Neill. Guy's actually filming that for Sean Casey. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Paul O'Neill.
Instead of Barry Larkin, right?
Yes. Springer trying to figure out a way to get O'Neill. One of the tougher outs in any lineup. Shortstop's out of position on ball 2, low and away, 2-2.
They worked the daylight play once, and Russ Springer upset with himself at what might have happened when Guillen went behind Knoblauch again, exposing the whole left side of the infield. Chipper Jones was all by his lonely.
Little shake of the head by Bobby Cox. 2 balls, 2 strikes now on O'Neill. Down the right field line into the corner. That's another hit for O'Neill. In to score Knoblauch. Down to second, Paul O'Neill. Safe with a double. It's 9-3 Yankees here in the 6th.
Paul O'Neill normally would slide into second base, that down and in area. Well, what a volatile area that is for left-handed batters. Unusual carom played by Jordan, but Paul O'Neill going in standing up. That's an odd way to go into second base. It could have been that little half shin guard on his right leg. I don't know why he didn't slide.
A fastball strike to Chili Davis. Davis has a double today. He scored a run. Tino Martinez getting ready in the dugout. Late swing by Davis on that 94-mile-per-hour fastball from Springer. 0-2. Bernie Williams next, and then he saw Tino Martinez. Case this inning funnels down to Manto, first baseman. That's foul. Solid production for the Yankees with runners in scoring position. They have done it today against Perez and Springer.
It's a hot day-o. You can hear Harry Belafonte in the background. Out of nowhere here at Yankee Stadium, you hear that day-o occasionally.
On 0-2. Chased a high, hard one. Chili Davis is gone. 2 out. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Springer.
Good high heat by Springer here. We talked about movies today. We might as well talk about that's almost the 30th anniversary of that album by Harry Belafonte at Carnegie Hall, 1961. Deo, Matilda, et al.
2 on, 2 out. Bernie Williams getting his second consecutive intentional walk. Jeff Manto is on deck, but we already showed you Tino Martinez, who was getting ready in the dugout. Tino's going to hop out of that dugout and hit in place of Manto. So Manto, still hitless as a Yankee, 0 for 2 today plus a walk, will give way to Tino Martinez. And this crowd wants to see a crowning blow here in the 6th inning from their first baseman Tino, who has hit 14 home runs. Joe Torre's not taking anything for granted here, leading 9-3. He brings Manto back, and instead of a full day off for Tino Martinez, here he is in the 6th inning on a hot day. Torre already pinch hit Leday back in the 5th inning. And he calls on Tino Martinez in the 6th, and a ball from Springer.
Remember the Pine Tar game here at Yankee Stadium? George Brett with a 3-run home run. If this were back in the early 80s, Tino Martinez, if he put a ball in play, would be called out for too much Pine Tar.
Popped up to the left side. Nobody sees it. The Braves hope that Klesko does. He tracks it and puts it away. Chipper Jones, Ozzie Guillen had no idea where that ball was. The Yankees come up with another lead by 6. Back after this from your local Fox station. Grimsley trot back out there and get ready for another inning. He would get a save if he can finish off this 9th, maintain the lead. He took over back in the 6th. Finished off the 6th inning, the 7th, the 8th, and now trying the 9th and getting one past Klesko for strike 1. Klesko's second at bat. He pinch hit for Gerald Williams back in the 6th inning. First hitter that Grimsley faced, and he struck him out. To the right side, what a play. Martinez feeds Grimsley to the bag, 1 out. Tino Martinez with a good play to his right. And he deals a fastball, I guess, high for ball 1. We're in the 9th inning, and the Braves, it looks like, will head out of here, taking 2 of 3 from the Yankees. As all the new series in baseball start tomorrow on a Sunday. 2-0 on Boone. Brett 1 out of 4. Two balls, no strikes, 1 out, nobody on. And a ground ball to Brocious. He's made a couple of good plays. A bobble, a high throw, and safe is Boone at first. You can still see Knoblauch guiding that throw to second base, and any chance of a game-ending double play went out the window when Knoblauch goosed it over to second.
Yeah, because they...
What would you say, Tim, about the start of Andy Pettitte as he lasts 5 2/3? Not overwhelming, but not poor by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, yeah, he got a W under his belt. You build from there. The fair outing. A little better than fair. Anytime you win a game, it's a little better than fair. He had lost 2 consecutive Yankee Stadium starts before today.
Here's the 2-2 to Jordan. A pop-up on the infield should end it. Tino Martinez wants it, has it. And the Yankees get a much-needed win here at home over the Atlanta Braves. Still, I know you believe the Braves are headed in the right direction. The Yankees trying to answer a lot of questions around here.
Yeah, they really are. The Atlanta Braves, that ascending graphic, as Joe Torre telling Glenn Hubbard and Brian Jordan, whom Joe managed with the Cardinals, good luck for the rest of the season. But could these two teams meet in postseason? Absolutely.
Our thanks to Steve Horn assisting here in the booth, our editorial consultant. For Michael Bi-Coastal Weissman, Bill Webb, our director, Aaron Stoikov, Mitch Reagan, cast of 10s helping to bring you this game from Yankee Stadium. For Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck. So long from the Bronx. Final score, the Yankees win it 11-4 over Atlanta. Chris Myers will be along in the Fox Television Center with some final thoughts after these messages. Good night.
Knoblauch, much maligned for his defense, got the Yankees going today with a 2-run homer against Odalis Perez and the Braves, and the Yankees held on to knock off Atlanta by the score of 11-4. Fox Saturday Baseball. Chris Myers with you, and welcome to the Fox Television Center here in Los Angeles. Appreciate you being with us. Let's bring you up to date on all of the scores from around the day at the ballpark, including the one you just saw. The Yankees a winner. Andy Pettitte picks up the victory. Bernie Williams also homered for New York. They went extra innings. The Astros win it 3-2 on a bases-loaded 2-out walk. Todd Jones walking Derek Bell. Bagwell's homer tied it earlier. The Reds win in the bottom of the ninth on a Jeffrey Hamlin's homer. Larry Walker pinch hit 2-out, 2-run homer in the ninth to tie. The Pirates slugged the Indians 12-7. Kevin Young and Al Martin each hit 2 home runs. Padres and Mariners just underway. Seattle with that 1-0 lead. It's the first day game at their new ballpark, and the Dodgers lead on a Devon White RBI over the Angels in the Freeway Series out in Southern California, 1-0 in the second. Rusty Greer and Jay Bell have homers. Texas leading the Diamondbacks. That's a 3-1 game in the third. The Giants and the A's, the battle for the Bay. They're scoreless now in the bottom of the second. The rookie Tim Hudson against Kirk Reeder in that one. Devil Rays and Mets, Tampa Bay up 3-0 over New York, and Oral Hershiser as they play in the bottom of the second. And Nomar Garciaparra has homered for the Red Sox, but the Phillies got 3 in the first off Portugal, and they hold a 3-2 lead as they play in the second. They had a little bit of rain, but the Twins, now that they've gotten going in Chicago, Minnesota on top of the Cubs by the score of 3-0. And the Marlins and the Blue Jays, that's a 1-1 game. The Marlins a Major League best in interleague play since they've started interleague play. And Major League Baseball on Fox next Saturday. Cubs and Mets, Padres and Astros in the early games. Others we'll see in the later games. Angels and Orioles, and the Cardinals with Mark McGwire up against the Colorado Rockies. Thanks for being with us on Saturday afternoon for Fox Baseball. I'm Chris Myers here in Los Angeles. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.